Hello and welcome back. In this video I'll be explaining the moves I would recommend in backgammon as an opening move with the first roll of the dice, and in particular I'll be discussing doubles. In the next one or two videos I'll be discussing opening moves that are not doubles, but in this video I'll be discussing doubles specifically. So let's start with the double six. Double six is your dream roll. It's the best possible roll you can get with your first roll of the dice. And the standard play for double six is you move these two checkers here, and then you move these two checkers here. So with these two, by anchoring this point here, you've primed off a very key point here. These 3 points are the most key priming points. This one's good as well, but these three are the most key priming points for trying to trap your opponent's checkers here. So with the double six, not only have you primed off a key point here, but you've also moved these two checkers out to a very key point right next to your opponent's quarter. And those two checkers are out. They cannot be trapped in there again by your opponent, unless you get hit again and then have to go back there. But excellent, the best possible opening move you can get. Statistically, it's not going to happen for you often, but when it does, it's beautiful. Next is a double five. Now, double five, I can only remember in all the games of backgammon I've played, I can only remember a very small handful of times when a double five has been useful. Mainly towards the end of the game, when all your checkers are in your own quarter and you're trying to take your checkers off the board. That's when a double five is useful. Otherwise, it's very rare when a double five is actually a good roll, when you have not got all your checkers in your quarter and trying to get rid of them. So yeah, it's a pretty useless double. Standard play for a double five as an opening move is you move these two checkers here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more spaces here. Now, like I said, pretty useless. I mean, these are, as we've discussed, these are the three key priming points, and you haven't primed off any of these 3 points here. You've kind of primed off or anchored on this point here, which is not that useful. So double five, pretty useless roll, but that's the standard play. What about a double four? Well, the move I would recommend for a double four is 1, 2, 3, 4. And then move these two checkers 1, 2, 3, 4 spots here. Some people will move these two checkers 4 spots here, but that's basically called burying checkers. You've buried these two checkers. These two checkers are not priming any of the key points here. By anchoring off this point here, you're not really trapping your opponent's pieces. I mean, your opponent's checkers. I mean, it's easy for these checkers to get past these two, and these two checkers are effectively trapped. I mean, or buried. But what we mean by that, because you can't move backwards in backgammon, you can't do anything else with these checkers anymore until the end of the game when you take them off the board. So really, I mean, I would not recommend that at all as a play for a double four. I'd recommend coming here, because then what you've done, I mean, these are the three most key priming points, but that's pretty good too. So not too bad to put these two checkers here and try and keep your opponent's checkers, these two checkers, at bay for as long as possible. Just one thing, a lot of people might be tempted to then move these two checkers 1, 2, 3, 4 more spots here, but you've immediately made this a running game with your very first roll of the dice. I mean, what's the use of doing that, really? Like, by just leaving these two checkers here, you can run anytime you want. These checkers can't be trapped in here anymore. You've basically covered 2 priming points of your opponent here, so he can't prime there, and even if he primes there, you've already gone past this point. So, and if he primes there, he can't really trap you. It's easy for you to get past there. So you can move those checkers off anytime you want. So this is definitely, without a doubt, the move I would recommend with a double 4 as an opening move. With the double 3, some people will go 1, 2, 3. Move these checkers 3 points, three spaces here, and then they might go 1, 2, 3 here. I don't agree with that, because again, that's sort of close to burying your checkers. It's not as bad as there, but you've kind of semi-buried these 2 checkers. I mean, again, you're not really priming any of these points here. And again, this point, sort of like this point here, it's easy for these 2 checkers to get past it quickly. These are really these 2 points are the points you'd want to anchor off towards the end of a game, not at the beginning. So I would not recommend that as a double 3. A lot of people might then move these 2 checkers here, 3 spots here, but again, with the double 4, you would have anchored off this point here, which is not too bad as a priming point, but this is not really a key priming point. So I don't see the point of doing that. What I recommend is for you to then move these 2 checkers another 3 spots here. Now, a lot of people, their argument against this move is that, look, this is a standard move for a double 6, because with a double 6 you move those 2 checkers here and you move these 2 checkers here. So why would you move these 2 checkers there with a double 3 when you should be doing it with a double 6? And my argument against that is, are you saying the glass is half full or half empty? I mean, imagine if you rolled a 2 and a 1 at the beginning, right? And then with your next roll of the dice, you got a 5 and a 4, and then with a 5 and a 4, you move these 2 checkers here and anchored off there. You would be really happy. You'd say, oh, I rolled a 2 and a 1, then a 5 and a 4 straight away. Wow, with the first 2 moves, I've anchored off there. Whereas with a double 3, you've done it to your very first move. So like I said, is the glass half empty or half full? And remember, double 6 is, as I said, the best possible roll you can get. It's very rare. So considering with a double 3, you've anchored off there in one move. I mean, the glass isn't even half empty; it's a quarter empty. It's 3/4 full. You know, you instead of taking it 2 moves to anchor off there, you've done it in 1 move. And also, if you roll a 2 and a 1 or a 4 and a 3. What's to say that with the next roll of the dice, it'll give you the roll to anchor off here? It's not necessarily going to give you another lucky roll to anchor off there. So take full advantage of the double 3 and anchor this point here. That's definitely what I would recommend for a double 3. I mean, those 2 checkers are out. There's no way they can be trapped in there. The only way you can be trapped in there is if you get hit. And now you can concentrate on, well, anchoring off these points here. You don't have to worry about these 2 checkers being here or inside this quarter anymore. So that's the play with the double 3. Now, what about a double 2? Well, a lot of people will go 1, 2. Now, one thing, please do not play these 2 checkers another 2 points here. You've wasted a double here. I mean, this is not a key anchoring point at all, so I would not recommend that at all. A lot of people will go 1, 2 there. That's the way they would play double 2. So these 2 checkers here, these 2 checkers there. Nothing wrong with that, because you've actually anchored a key point, a key priming point here, and then, you know, if you get a 3 and a 1 straight away, you can also anchor here. Or if you've got a 6 and a 1, you can anchor here. You've still got a spare checker there. You haven't used that checker to anchor here, because remember, with a 4 and a 2, you'd go 1, 2, and 1, 2, 3, 4. And then if you roll a 6 and a 1 or a 3 and a 1, you can't anchor anymore because you haven't got 3 checkers here. You only got 2 checkers here. So by playing a double 2 here, you've got the tremendous advantage of being able to anchor again if you get a 3 and a 1 or a 6 and a 1. But here's the thing. I would move these two. So if you want to play that move, that's perfectly okay with me. But personally, I would play a double 2 here. And once again, people say, oh, but that's what you'd play with a double 4. You'd move 4 spaces here and 4 spaces there, right? So why would you advance these two checkers all the way here with a double 2? Isn't that what you do with a double 4? But again, just like the argument with a double 3, I would say, is the glass half empty or half full? I mean, sure, it's not as good as a double 4, just like a double 3 is not as good as a double 6, but again, you've advanced. If you'd only left those checkers there with a double 2, you can still get, your opponent can still prime off these points here and trap you in there. Whereas playing the double 2 all the way here, you can't get, you've actually covered 2 key priming points here of your opponent. And if he rolls a 6 and a 1 and anchors off here, it's very difficult to trap you here because you can just run with these pieces, with these checkers anytime you want. So why wouldn't you do that? That is definitely my preference for a double 2. What about a double 1? Well, the move I would definitely recommend with a double 1 is there, that's one double, and here. Now, same argument with the double 2. Remember when I said with double 2 you can go there and there, and then if you get a 3 and a 1 or a 6 and a 1, you've still got this spare checker to prime off here. Well, I will now use that argument specifically for a double 1, because with a double 1, if you go 2 1s here and then move these 2 checkers here, as I just explained, you've still got that spare checker there. So if you get a 6 and a 1 or a 4 and a 2, you can still anchor off here or here. So you're in a strong possible priming position for future rolls because you've got that spare checker there. Now some people might say, okay, if you with a double 3, if you move all the way here, or with a double 2, if you'd move all the way here, with a double 1, why wouldn't you move, instead of moving 1 spot, why wouldn't you move 2 spots? And well, my answer to that is, with a double 6 or double 3, with a double 3 or a double 2, you've basically, in the case of a double 3, you've gone past these 2 priming points, and with a double 4, again, you've gone past these 2 priming points. Well, with a double 3, you've gone past all 3 priming points. But if you advance these 2 checkers twice with a double 1, you haven't gone past these 3 priming points. You can still get trapped in there. Your opponent can still prime these 3 points off. So really, you're wasting a double. I mean, you might as well just keep these 2 checkers here and advance these 2 checkers there and prime off here. Because if you advance these 2 checkers all the way here, you haven't done yourself any favors really. You've done yourself a disfavor. So you might as well leave that there and just anchor off here and cover a very key priming point there, leaving a spare checker for another prime in the future. So now just one other thing with the double 1, goodness me, some people would recommend for you to play a double 1. One of my friends recommended this move, and I've even seen videos on YouTube recommending this move where you go double 1 here and then double 1 here, and the argument is, oh, with your next roll you can, maybe cover, if you get a 3 and a 2 for example, you can cover that one there and then prime these 3 points. Oh, how fantastic, you've primed off all these key points here. But if you play that, well, how do you know? You could roll a 2 and a 1 next, and you're not going to be able to cover this point here. And also with the next roll of the dice, you're giving your opponent a free hit here, and there's a few combinations where you can get hit there. And if you get hit there this early in the piece, well, you're now going to have 3 checkers in your opponent's quarter, which is going to make life difficult for you. So why do you want to give your opponent a free hit by basically covering this point instead of this point? I mean, this point's already covered anyway. That point's already covered. So by moving these two here, you're covering this point, but you're leaving this point and this checker exposed. So I would not recommend this move at all for a double one. Just play there and be happy with the fact that you've anchored a key priming point here and you've still got that spare checker there. So that covers all the double moves. What I would recommend as how you should play the double, a double on the roll of the dice as an opening move, and in the next 1 or 2 videos I'll show you how to play the opening rolls of the dice that are not doubles. So thank you for watching.